Hi, so I'm Joanna Rebelo Fernandez, the author of this book, Treasure at the Train Station. It's a book published by Good Earth. As the title tells you, there is a treasure at a train station, and the story is a mystery set in what I say is the grandest railway station in India, which is Victoria Terminus, better known today as Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. The treasure is the story is about a gem that gets lost at the station, but the treasure is not only about this object. The treasure alludes to the station itself. So we wanted to draw children to appreciate the wonderful treasure that is Victoria Terminus CSMT, and to appreciate its architecture, the stories that went into it, and its history. So 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, my publisher, Swati Mitra at Good Earth, asked if I would be interested in writing a children's book. I jumped at the opportunity. Good Earth has been publishing books, wants to publish children's books about India's heritage, India's culture, wants to introduce cities of the country to children outside those cities. And we were keen to do a book in Bombay for children to introduce everyone else outside Bombay to get to know the city. And we decided if there was to be a location for this, it has to be something grand, something monumental, something with great heritage and history. And what better place in Bombay than this beautiful railway station, which is really the epicenter of the city. So that's how we started. We decided that Victoria Terminus, and I will keep calling it Victoria Terminus because growing up in Bombay, it's how we refer to the city. It was the station was always VT station. So we decided that was going to be the location. We'll set the book there, set the story there. But the story was meant to not only, I mean, the story is the mystery about something lost at the station. We wanted to draw children to appreciate this beautiful building in itself. So built heritage and the need to preserve and conserve built heritage was very much at the backdrop of the whole process of writing and creating this story. The trick when you have a story that comes with so much historical fact, there's a great challenge in deciding what to leave out and what to use in your story. And I, as a journalist, I had gathered so much information that it became unwieldy, and I wasn't sure what do I put in, what do I keep out. In fact, I wanted to have Frederick Stevens. And one of the original iterations of the story was that it ought to be a historical story set in the time of Frederick Stevens, and talk about this young man who's been commissioned with this great project. We decided against it, but what we've done instead with all this fact that we have is we've put it in the back of the book, and I'll show it to you. So it's a double spread at the back. Here it is. So what we've done is we've talked a bit about Frederick Stevens. We've talked a bit about the history of the Indian railways. We have one entire spread on the elements of neo-Gothic architecture, because I was very clear that I wanted the book to teach children a little about the style of architecture. So if they spot a building, they see a neo-Gothic building, how would they know it's a neo-Gothic building? So I said, let's take some of the key elements of this architecture and put it at the back, so sort of like a ready reckoner. And some of the facts we wove into the story, like the name change of the station, Bombay's name change, all of that becomes part of the story itself. So Rituparna Sarkar, who's the illustrator, there are two illustrators, Rituparna Sarkar and Hitesh Sonar. But I contacted Rituparna because I'd interviewed her as a journalist for another project she'd done, and I'd liked her work there. So the idea behind the art was that we'd have a separate palette and a separate look and feel for the night scenes, because part of the story is about Victoria Terminus coming to life at night, and all the animal sculptures having a rollicking time at the station at night. So there was we wanted a very distinct look for the night scenes and something distinct for the day. So Hitesh did all the night scenes and Rituparna did all the day scenes. So just to give you an idea of the difference. So this is what Victoria Terminus or the book at day, during the day looks like, done by Rituparna, and these are what the night scenes look like. So sort of dark and brooding and mysterious was the palette we wanted for the night scenes. And Rituparna, who also laid the book out, managed to do a very good job of juxtaposing day and night. So it was a good balance. All right, so when I started reading Treasure the Train Station to children, some of the early readings happened in Bombay. And it was great because this was the city where the book is, the story is set. The astonishing thing is, I did sessions, reading sessions, both in the suburbs and at schools very close to Victoria Terminus. And you'd presume that, because the school is so close, the proximity would allow children to have maybe visited the station or have noticed details in the station. But when I tell children that I'm introducing to them a railway station that has animals all over the building, they refuse to believe me. They say, absolutely not, not at all. And when I spoke to the children in the school close to Victoria Terminus, I said, the station's not very far from you and it's got animals everywhere. Very few children could identify this station. And I think it has to do with the fact that very few children today take the train at all. So everyone's, in their cars, everyone's, when I did a sort of a mock reading in Gurgaon, and I asked children, called a bunch of my children's friends home, and I asked them, how many of you took a train recently? I was astonished to see some of them had never taken a train at all, So in the readings, I try to bring children to recognize the fact that the railway stations that they are sometimes passing by, if they're on a street, might be very old structures. And when I told these kids in Bombay about the animals in the station, and they were sculptures, and there was such an array of them. I said, you'll find a pangolin, you'll find a peacock, there's a snake, a ram, monkeys, lions, tigers. They cannot believe it. And then I follow up the reading with a slideshow. So I show them photos. I say, you don't believe me? Here's evidence. This is what's on the building. These are the sculptures. And a lot of children at the end of it, tell me that they are going to take their parents or insist that their parents take them to the station. Teachers have then come and told me that they're going to plan a trip to the railway station to show children these sculptures. So it's a great experience I've had with children across cities, across Bombay, Gurgaon and Delhi, where I've come to understand that children are very interested in old buildings. They want to be shown the details in old buildings. They want to know the history of old buildings, and they just need somebody to show it to them. So I sort of hope that the book, in a small way, has done that for children. So I believe buildings are great storytellers, and buildings are repositories of stories of the city in which they are located, stories about the patrons, why was this building, how did this building come to be, stories about the age, stories about the artisans, the craftspeople, the masons who built it. And I think it's important for children to know these stories, for all of us, for not just children. In fact, I feel a lot of the decisions governments or local corporations have taken over the years to raise buildings and their desire to have something gleaming and something new and modern in its place. I think that has happened because they didn't know these stories. If they only knew the importance, the importance of the building, they probably would have never taken such drastic steps. And one of the astonishing things I discovered in the course of this book was that this great story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, written by Victor Hugo, I think in 1831. It surprised me to know that he wrote that story because he wanted to draw the attention of the city of Paris to this fabulous medieval cathedral. And at that time, so the problem, the danger of buildings being razed is not a modern a problem. This happened even in 19th century Europe when Victor Hugo was very distressed by the fact that the city was the country was raising these wonderful medieval structures, and he wanted the city to preserve them. So he wrote this story, set it in Notre Dame, pretty much in the way that I've set mine. Of course, I've not set mine in VT because I had such lofty notions of preserving this building, but he had. And he wanted the city to appreciate the history, the beauty of this edifice. So if children only grew to understand and appreciate what these old buildings stand for, when they grow up, and not just when they grow up, I think even as children, they'll want to visit these places. They'll ask their parents to tell them the stories behind the stone. And I feel parents will then maybe come together, they'll raise their voices if old buildings are under threat. I think if the story is read, immediately children will be drawn to the story of this particular building. But I hope it might make them curious about other buildings. They might want to know their stories. And the other interesting thing Victor Hugo said was, he spoke about governments spending a lot of money to buy expensive artifacts to store in museums. And he pointed out, he said, buildings are also are akin to museums. So he said, not instead of, but what one could also do is by preserving buildings, you're preserving their history and heritage. And what parents and teachers could do is get children to maybe talk to them about buildings they notice, monuments, built heritage that they admire when they go out on a holiday somewhere, to maybe keep a diary, to come back and share with the class interesting details they might have noticed on a building. Stained glass, sculptures, the kind of stone used, to ask their parents who's built this, in what era. Tell us a bit, because it's not just, so if it's about the year in which that building was built, that is an eye hole into what has happened in that time. So tell us more about what might have happened in Bombay in the 19th century. What could the city have looked like? So you understand, a building is literally like a porthole. You enter the building and you enter a universe. So that's what I hope this book will do.